You know what's interesting about consistency? It's available to everyone, but used by so few. The person who turns their life around isn't the one who makes the loudest promises or has the biggest dreams. It's the quiet one who shows up every day, every single day. I want to tell you something important today, something that could change everything for you. Consistency will break every limit you have. Not talent, not luck, not who you know, consistency. Now, I'm not talking about doing something once in a while when you feel like it. I'm talking about showing up rain or shine, good mood or bad, whether you want to or not. That kind of consistency. Most people would say that's nothing. What's the point? But those people don't understand the math of consistency. 1% daily improvement compounds to nearly 38 times better in a year. This isn't fancy math, it's the simple truth about how consistency works. Think about water for a moment. Soft, yielding water. Yet drop by drop, over time, it carves canyons through solid rock. Not by force, but by consistency. The Grand Canyon wasn't created in a day. It was created drop by drop, day after day, year after year. Your life works the same way. The person you'll become 5 years from now depends on two things: the books you read and the people you meet. But here's what gets missed. It's not about reading one good book or meeting one important person. It's about consistently feeding your mind and consistently expanding your circle, day after day, month after month. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. That's why they start and stop so many things. They want overnight results. But success doesn't work that way. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. Progressive, step by step, day by day. I promise you this. If you commit to consistency in even one important area of your life, you'll start seeing barriers fall that you thought were permanent. Limits that seem fixed will start to crack. But you have to trust the process long enough to see the results. Let's talk about how this actually works. The power of daily disciplines isn't complicated, but it is profound. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. I learned this lesson early from a mentor who told me, "Jim, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day." It's not the big things that set us up for success or failure. It's the small things we do. Think about your savings account. If you put in a little money consistently, it grows and grows. Miss a few deposits and the growth slows. Make random withdrawals and you move backward. Your health, relationships, knowledge, skills, they all work like this account. They all respond to consistent deposits. Let me give you an example. Two people want to get in shape. The first one goes all out, 2-hour workouts, strict diet, the works. But after 2 weeks, they're exhausted, sore, and they quit. The second person commits to just 20 minutes every morning. Nothing extreme, just consistent. 6 months later, who do you think is in better shape? The one who's still going? The mistake most people make is thinking that the solution to their problems needs to be as big as the problems themselves. But that's not how it works. Big problems are best solved through small, consistent actions. I've studied successful people for decades, and I can tell you this with certain. They all have different talents, different opportunities, different starting points, but they share one thing in common. They are consistently doing the things that move them toward their goals. Think about writing a book. The idea of writing 300 pages is overwhelming. But what about writing 1 page per day? Anyone can write 1 page. Do that consistently, and in less than a year, you have a book. It's not the size of the action that matters most. It's the consistency of the action. I want you to understand something about disciplines. At first, we form our disciplines, and then our disciplines form us. At first, you have to force yourself to exercise or save money or read every day. It doesn't come naturally. But if you push through that initial resistance, something magical happens. The discipline starts working for you instead of against you. Daily disciplines aren't about willpower or motivation. Those come and go. It's about creating systems in your life that make consistency possible. It's about making the right thing, the easy thing. And that begins with what you do day in and day out. Think of it this way. If you want a garden, you don't plant the seeds one day and then ignore them for a month. You water them a little bit every day. You pull a few weeds every day. You give them a little sun every day. That's how growth works, through consistent care over time. Now let's talk about why most people fail. It's not for lack of knowledge. We're drowning in information. It's not for lack of opportunity. We have more ways to succeed today than ever before. Most people fail because of the consistency gap. They know what to do. They even do it occasionally, but they don't do it consistently, and that's where everything falls apart. The truth is, motivation is a terrible strategy for lasting change. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some days you'll feel like conquering the world. Other days you'll barely want to get out of bed. If you rely on motivation, you'll only take action when you feel like it. And that's not consistency. That's convenience. I see this all the time in business. Someone attends a seminar, gets all fired up, goes back to work, implements a few new ideas, sees some progress, then gradually slides back to the old way of doing things. 6 months later, it's as if the seminar never happened. Why? The consistency gap is what you need to understand. Success doesn't respond to your desires. It doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to your actions, consistent actions. When you look at anyone who's achieved something remarkable, you'll find consistency at the core. The champion athlete who trains when others sleep. The successful entrepreneur who makes calls when others make excuses. The writer who writes when others watch TV. It's not that they never feel resistance. They just don't let that resistance control their actions. Most people approach their goals like a gambler approaches a casino. They're hoping for a big win. But successful people approach their goals like a farmer approaches a field. They know exactly what they need to do day after day, season after season to produce a harvest. The consistency gap is also why most people never see the compound effect work in their lives. They plant seeds, but dig them up too soon to check if they're growing. They work out for a week and give up when they don't see results. They start saving, but withdraw the money when impulse purchase calls their name. If you want to close the consistency gap in your life, you need to fall in love with the process, not just the results. Because the process is where you'll spend 99% of your time. The results come later and often when you least expect them. Let's talk about this compound effect of small actions because it's one of the most powerful forces in the universe, yet most people never harness it. The compound effect works like this. Small, smart choices in consistency, time, radical difference. The key part of this equation that most people miss is time. The compound effect always takes time to show itself. Think about a penny that doubles every day for 30 days. Day 1, you have 1 penny. Day 2, you have 2 pennies. Doesn't seem like much, right? By day 10, you'd have $5.12. Still not impressive. But by day 30, you'd have over $5 million. That's the compound effect. Slow at first, then suddenly explosive. Your life works the same way. The first weeks of consistent exercise show little visible result. The first months of saving money don't create wealth. The first attempts at a new skill feel awkward and unproductive. But keep going, and the compounding begins. I've watched people transform their lives through this principle, and it always follows the same pattern. At first, nothing seems to happen. They wonder if they're wasting their time. This is where most people quit. But those who keep going enter the second phase where progress becomes noticeable. And if they continue long enough, they reach the third phase where progress becomes remarkable. Here's what's interesting. The actions don't change. The same small, consistent action that seemed to do nothing at first is the exact same action that later produces amazing results. The only difference is time and consistency. I remember talking to a fellow who had lost 100 pounds. I asked him how he did it. He said, I made one change to my diet and took a 30-minute walk every day. That's it. I said, there must be more to it than that. He said, nope, that's it. but I did it every single day for 18 months. Most people are too impatient to see the compound effect work in their lives. They want immediate results. They plant a seed today and want a full-grown tree tomorrow. Life doesn't work that way. But here's the good news. The compound effect works whether you believe in it or not. It's like gravity. It's always operating. The only question is whether it's working for you or against you. Every day you eat poorly, skip exercise, avoid learning, procrastinate on important work. The compound effect is working against you. Every day you make slightly better choices. The compound effect works for you. Either way, the results compound over time. The most powerful application of the compound effect is in habits. What you do consistently becomes automatic over time. At first it takes effort and willpower, but eventually it becomes who you are, not just what you do. This is why consistency is so much more important than intensity. Intensity makes a good story. Consistency makes progress. Intensity gets attention. Consistency gets results. Now, let's be honest. Maintaining consistency isn't easy. There will be resistance. There will be excuses. There will be days when the last thing you want to do is what you know you should do. How do you overcome this? First, understand that resistance is normal. Everyone feels it. The professional writer faces resistance before sitting down to write. The athlete faces resistance before training. The entrepreneur faces resistance before making those sales calls. Resistance doesn't mean something's wrong. It means you're human. The amateur waits until resistance goes away. The professional knows it never will, so they act despite it. They understand that action often comes before motivation, not after it. You don't wait until you feel like running to put on your running shoes. You put on your running shoes, start running, and then the feeling comes. Excuses are the nails that build the house of failure. And we're all master carpenters when it comes to excuses. I'm too tired, I don't have time, I'll start tomorrow. I'm not in the mood. It doesn't matter that much. These excuses seem reasonable in the moment, but they're the enemy of consistency. The solution isn't to fight your excuses, it's to make them irrelevant. You do this by creating systems that don't rely on your moment-to-moment willpower. Want to exercise consistently? Put your workout clothes next to your bed and sleep in your socks? Want to eat better? Don't bring junk food into your house in the first place. Want to save money? Set up automatic transfers on payday before you can spend it. These systems bypass your excuses because they remove the decision point. You don't decide each day whether to exercise. It's just what you do at 6 a.m. You don't decide whether to save money. It's already saved before you. Systems beat willpower every time. Another key to overcoming resistance is to start smaller than you think you should. We overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a year. So start with an action so small that it seems almost worthless, but do it every day. Want to write a book? Start with 50 words per day. Want to get in shape? Start with 5 minutes of exercise. Want to meditate? Start with 1 minute per day. These tiny actions seem insignificant, but they serve a crucial purpose. They build a habit of consistency. And once that habit is built, you can gradually increase the action. Remember this? The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. But temporary discomfort of doing what you should is nothing compared to the lasting regret of knowing what you could have become, but didn't because you couldn't stay consistent. Let's talk about how to create unshakable habits, because habits are the foundation of consistency. A habit is simply an action you take with little or no conscious thought. It's something you do automatically, and that's the goal of consistency, to make the right actions automatic. The mistake most people make is trying to rely on motivation to create consistency. But motivation is a limited resource. It comes and goes. Habits, on the other hand, happen automatically whether you're motivated or not. So how do you create habits that stick? It comes down to 4 steps. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Make it obvious means creating clear cues in your environment that trigger the habit. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to eat fruit instead of junk food, put the fruit at eye level in your refrigerator. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. Make it attractive means linking the habit to something you enjoy. Listen to your favorite audiobook only while exercising. Allow yourself your favorite coffee only after you've completed your morning writing. This creates a craving that pulls you toward the habit. Make it easy means removing friction, reduce the habit to its simplest form. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Prepare healthy meals in advance. Put your phone in another room when you need to focus. The easier the habit, the more likely you'll do it consistently. Make it satisfying means feeling good about completing the habit. Track your progress on a calendar. Celebrate small wins. Tell someone about what you accomplished. The reward doesn't have to be big. It just needs to be immediate to reinforce the behavior. The key insight about habits is this: you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your systems are the processes that govern your daily actions, and consistency is ultimately about building systems that work even when you don't feel like working. Think of it this way. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Do one push-up and you're voting to become the type of person who exercises. Write one paragraph and you're voting to become a writer. Save a few dollars and you're voting to become financially free. These votes might seem insignificant in isolation, but over time, they create your identity. And once an action becomes part of your identity, consistency becomes natural. You no longer say, "I'm trying to exercise more." Instead, you say, "I'm an athlete. This is what I do." Now, let's talk about something deeper: the relationship between consistency and character. Character isn't something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice. And consistency is how you build it. Think about trust in a relationship. You don't earn trust through one grand gesture. You earn it through consistent small actions over time. Being honest when it would be easier to lie. Showing up when you said you would. Following through on your promises. Do these things consistently and trust grows. Be inconsistent and trust erodes. The same principle applies to the relationship you have with yourself. When you make a commitment and keep it, you build self-trust. When you say you'll exercise in the morning and you do, you prove to yourself that your word means something. When you set a savings goal and stick to it, you strengthen your character. But each time you break a commitment to yourself, you weaken that self-trust. You train yourself to believe that your own words don't mean much. And that's a dangerous pattern, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Inconsistency in one area tends to spread to other areas. The beauty of consistency is that it simplifies decisions. When you decide once and for all that you're the type of person who exercises every morning, you no longer have to decide each morning whether to exercise. The decision is already made. This creates freedom, not limitation. I've always believed that the quality of your life comes down to the quality of your philosophies. And consistency is a philosophy about how to approach each day. It's the recognition that the path to any worthwhile goal isn't a sprint, but a marathon. Not a giant leap, but steady steps in the same direction. What's interesting is that people who lack consistency often think they're preserving their freedom. They don't want to be tied down to daily disciplines, but they end up slaves to their impulses, to their moods, to their lack of progress. True freedom comes from the self-mastery that consistency provides. I once spoke with a wise older gentleman who had been married for over 50 years. I asked him the secret to his long marriage. He said, "There is no secret. I just didn't quit on the bad days." That's consistency, not quitting on the bad days. Not just doing the right thing when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. This brings us to an important truth: how consistency creates extraordinary results from ordinary. Most people are waiting for extraordinary opportunities before they take extraordinary actions. But that's backward. Extraordinary results come from ordinary actions taken consistently over time. The ordinary action of saving 10 of your income, done consistently for 40 years, creates extraordinary wealth. The ordinary action of reading 10 pages a day, done consistently, equates to over 3,600 pages, or about 12 books per year. The ordinary action of expressing gratitude to your spouse each day, done consistently, creates an extraordinary marriage. There's a myth of the overnight success that blinds us to this truth. We see the successful author, the thriving business, the fit body, and we assume there was some secret or shortcut. But when you look closer, you almost always find years of consistent, often unglamorous work that preceded the sudden success. What makes an action extraordinary isn't its size, but its consistency. Anyone can work hard for a day. Anyone can be disciplined when motivation is high. Anyone can take massive action during a spurt of inspiration. But sustained consistency, that's rare. And because it's rare, it creates rare results. I remember talking to a successful restaurant owner. I asked him what made his restaurant special. He thought for a moment and said, "We just make good food, give good service at a fair price every single day." Nothing revolutionary in that formula. The secret was in the every single day part. Here's a powerful perspective shift. Stop thinking of consistency as repetition and start thinking of it as compounding. Each consistent action builds on the ones before it. You're not just repeating the same thing. You're building momentum. Think about rolling a snowball down a hill. At first, each revolution adds just a little snow, but as the snowball grows, each revolution adds more and more. Your consistent actions work the same way. The first workout doesn't transform your health. The first dollar saved doesn't make you wealthy, but keep going and the results compound. The great paradox of success is that what seems boring and routine is often what creates the most remarkable outcomes. The daily disciplines that no one sees become the success that everyone wants. So, let's get practical. What are some specific strategies for maintaining consistency when life gets busy, motivation fades, or obstacles arise? First, simplify before you try to be consistent. Most people try to change too many things at once. They create elaborate plans with dozens of new habits and then wonder why they can't maintain consistency. Start with one change, just one, and be consistent with it before adding more. Second, track your consistency. Use a simple calendar method where you mark each day you complete your key habit. Your only goal is to avoid breaking the chain of marks. This visual reminder is surprisingly powerful because you start taking pride in your consistent streak. Third, create accountability. Tell someone else about your commitment to consistency. Better yet, find a consistency partner who's working on similar goals. When you know someone else is watching for your consistency, you're more likely to follow through. Fourth, prepare for failure. Not to be negative, but you will have days when your consistency slips. Everyone does. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't that the successful never fail. It's that they get back on track immediately. They follow a simple rule. Never miss twice, miss one workout. Fine, but never miss two in a row. One day off track won't ruin your progress. Two starts a new pattern. Fifth, tie your consistency to your goals, not just your habits. Remind yourself regularly why this consistency matters. What is it creating in your life? What becomes possible when you maintain consistency? This bigger context keeps you going when the day-to-day becomes mundane. 6, create routines, not just habits. A routine is a sequence of habits that work together. Your morning routine might include meditation, exercise, and planning your day. When these actions are linked together, one flows naturally into the next, making consistency easier. 7th, adjust your identity to match your desired consistency. Instead of saying, "I want to write more," say, "I am a writer." Instead of "I need to save more," say, "I am a saver." Your actions will naturally align with the person you believe yourself. 8th, use habit stacking. Link a new habit to an existing one. After I brush my teeth, I will do 5 minutes of stretching. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write my 3 priorities for the day. This uses the consistency you already have as a trigger for new consistent actions. 9th, make consistency convenient. The easier something is to do, the more likely you'll do it consistently. Want to exercise in the morning, sleep in your workout clothes, want to eat healthier, prepare meals in advance, want to read more, keep a book with you at all times. Convenience beats willpower. And 10th, celebrate your consistency, not just your achievements. Most people only celebrate when they reach their goals, but this is a mistake. The goal is just the result. The real win is the consistency that got you there. Take pride in the days you showed up, especially the days when you didn't feel like it. Remember this, it's the start that stops most people. They overthink, they plan, they wait for the perfect time. But consistency doesn't require a perfect plan. It requires a bias for action. Start before you feel ready. Start small. But start and then show up again tomorrow. Let me share something powerful as we near the end of our time together. The ultimate freedom that comes from consistency is the freedom from your own limitations. Most people are limited, not by their abilities, but by their inconsistency. They have moments of greatness, flashes of discipline, occasional bursts of productivity, but they can't sustain it. And because they can't sustain it, they live far below their potential. Consistency breaks these limitations. It transforms what you can accomplish, who you can become, what you can create in this world. It's not just about doing the same things repeatedly. It's about breaking through barriers that once seemed permanent. I've seen people transform their financial lives through the simple consistency of saving a portion of every dollar they earn. I've seen marriages heal through the simple consistency of daily kind words and small acts of service. I've seen businesses flourish through the simple consistency of serving customers exceptionally well day after day. None of these things are complicated. None require special talent or lucky breaks. They just require someone who shows up consistently, especially when it's hard. The truth is, most people know what they should do. The gap isn't in knowledge, but in consistent action. And that gap represents the difference between the life you have and the life you want. Think about the areas of your life where you've been inconsistent. What would happen if you committed to showing up every day for the next year? Not perfectly, but consistently. Your health, your relationships, your work, your finances, your spiritual life. Just 1 year of consistency could completely. I want to challenge you to pick one area. Just one. And commit to consistency for the next 90 days. Don't worry about results at first. Just focus on the daily discipline. Show up when you feel like it. Show up when you don't. Show up when it's convenient. Show up when it's not. Just show up. At the end of those 90 days, I guarantee you'll see changes that seemed impossible before. And more importantly, you'll have built the habit of consistency that will serve you for the rest of your life. The wonderful thing about consistency is that it's available to anyone. You don't need special talents or advantages. You just need to understand its power and be willing to embrace it while others chase shortcuts. Remember, consistency will break every limit you have. Not just external limits, but the internal ones too. The limits of what you think is possible for yourself. The limits of your self-discipline. The limits of your habits. The limits of your identity. And as those limits fall away, you'll discover something amazing. The person you've always been capable of becoming was waiting on the other side of consistency all along. The choice is yours. It always has been. You can keep living with inconsistency and the limitations it creates, or you can embrace consistency and watch as those limitations begin to crumble day by day, choice by choice. I believe you'll make the right choice. Not just today, but tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. Because that's what consistency is, a series of right choices strung together across time. And those choices will take you farther than you can possibly imagine. Thank you for your time today. Now, go break some limits,